You're listening to Convenience Matters, brought to you by Nax. We'll talk about what we see at stores and what the future may hold for our industry.
Welcome to Convenience Matters. My name's Jeff Lenard with Nax.
And I'm Chris Blasinsky with Nax.
So Chris and I have talked a lot about gas station food and having great food at the gas station. What we haven't talked about is taking that great gas station location and making it an awesome restaurant. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're joined by Carey Bringle, who has two restaurants now. The first one is Peg Leg Porker in Nashville, and the new one at the gas station, or former gas station, is Brindle's Smoking Oasis. So thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Jeff.
What made you say, hey, I'm going to open my second restaurant and I'm going to pick a place that used to be a gas station?
Well, I am real particular about my locations, as far as where we go and what the building or environment looks like. For Peg Leg, I wanted to have a cinder block building with really no windows and concrete floor, and it had that vibe that's really a West Tennessee barbecue vibe. For Bringle's Smoking Oasis, somebody showed me the piece of property. It had been converted from a gas station. They were using it as a body shop. It had a bunch of junked cars on it. But what was nice about it was it still had the center island, which was the little convenience store, and then had the large canopy over the top. And it was a triangular piece of property, so it was where two streets split. And it was an attractive piece of property to me because I could see sort of the vision of what we could do with that. And we kind of went from there.
And I probably should back up before we dive right into you pick this location. You're really renowned for barbecue. And I have a friend in Nashville, and when I mentioned that we were talking, he's like, they have great food. So give us the concept. What is your concept in terms of what you offer at both locations?
Yeah, so Peg Leg Porker is a straight, real Tennessee barbecue restaurant. We're doing sort of the roots of Tennessee barbecue at Peg Leg Porker. Our specialty is our dry ribs, which was originated in West Tennessee by the Rendezvous and by the Vergas family. They were actually Greek. And so it's a rib that's smoked, and then it gets a dry seasoning on it right before it hits your plate. And then we're known for our pulled pork as well. But all we do is pork and chicken at Peg Leg Porker. When I was growing up, nobody was doing beef barbecue in the state of Tennessee. We'd tell you to go to Texas, and that was a steak. And so certainly I don't believe that now. And when I found the property for Bringle's Smoking Oasis, I've always said there would only be one Peg Leg Porker, and so I didn't want to do another Peg Leg Porker. And I didn't want to make Peg Leg sort of everything to everybody. We've made it very clear we want to stay in our lane at Peg Leg, which is pork and chicken barbecue, and be as authentic to Tennessee and West Tennessee as possible. With Bringle's Smoking Oasis, it allowed me the freedom to explore Texas barbecue and kind of expand that with some other offerings and be a little more creative. I didn't pigeonhole myself into any particular thing at the Oasis because I didn't want to. And at Peg Leg, I did want to. So we're doing brisket, smoked pastrami, smoked turkey. We're doing some beef ribs. And so we have a wider offering at the Oasis of what we're serving. And it's cafeteria style. So Peg Leg is a quick service. You walk in, you walk up to the counter, you order your food, and then it comes out within about 4 minutes. At Bringle's Smoking Oasis, you're coming through, you're going through a cafeteria style line. Everything is a la carte. At the end of that line is a meat cutter who is cutting all of your meats to order, specifically by the pound, half pound, quarter pound, however much you want. That's what we'll cut for you.
So, Carey, we talk to a lot of people on this podcast, and I love the stories and how they come up with especially with convenience stores, they have different variations on quicks and stops and all kinds of different spells. But okay, let's just go Peg Leg here.
Right.
I think it's fair that we get the story about how you came up with the name.
Yeah. So Peg Leg Porker has been my brand for a long time. I literally am the peg leg porker. So I have got one leg. I'm an above the knee amputee on my right leg, and I lost my leg to osteogenic sarcoma at age 17. So it was the summer before my senior year. And so instead of taking that as a negative and making it something to, be sad about, I took it and, sort of had fun with it. And then down the road, established the Peg Leg Porker brand. And now we have, the Peg Leg Porker restaurant. We've got food products, clothing. We have a spirits company. And so we really encompass the whole barbecue lifestyle and everything around it. And now we have a new addition to that with Bringle's Smoking Oasis.
And you had mentioned the lifestyle. Part of that is you have a line of bourbon.
I do. So we have Peg Leg Porker Spirits. We have Peg Leg Porker Tennessee Straight Bourbon, and that's distributed in 10 states now, plus the UK. And it's been very successful. We're an award-winning bourbon company, and we're a non-distilling producer, but we have been starting to lay down our own supply over the past couple of years. And our aged product was stuff that was distilled by somebody else that we took, and we developed a process of filtering it through hickory charcoal before it goes into the bottle after it's debarreled. And so that's given it a distinctive flavor and taste, and it's been very widely accepted, which has been nice.
Now, you had mentioned the time, the speed of service. Now, besides looking online and seeing lines there, pretty extensive lines, and I think as much as people brag about the food, they brag about, I went there and I didn't have too long a line. So at both places, the speed of service is really important for convenience stores. But it's also increasingly becoming around convenience. And I noticed that the Smoking Oasis, you've used this triangular property that probably might not work for a lot of other establishments. And you have cornhole, you have outdoor seating, and you've kind of literally made an oasis around that. How did you come up with a design like that? Did you just did somebody lay it out for you, or you just see this property and you had your vision?
We saw the property and I kind of had a vision about it. So I have an architect that I work with on all my properties, John Wern, who does a good job. But really, John is drawing a lot of what's my vision and what we want to do with a property. We were lucky that we got some key variances on this property. It had a easement underneath it that could have been very problematic, and I really took a chance when I closed on this property without that easement being abandoned. That I was confident enough that I could get it done. So I was able to get that easement abandoned that ran under the length of the property. And then also I was able to get a parking variance. There's some development around me. They have some additional parking that they were forced to put in. There's going to be some additional street parking that's going to get put in due to that development. And so we were able to go to the city and say, hey, look, we want to clean this up. We want to make it nice for the neighborhood. We want to make this a gathering spot for everybody. But in order to do that, I need a parking variance to where we don't have to chop up the property with a bunch of parking spaces on it. And we were able to get that passed, which was huge and really shaped the development of that property and allowed us to develop the entire triangle and give us that much outdoor seating and room. And so we took that. We were either going to have to asphalt it or concrete it or do something. We decided to put concrete walkways and then run AstroTurf on it. And so that's what we've done, and that's what it's worked for us. I think it's a great environment for the kids and for the families and for pets, and everybody seems to really love it. Because it's walled in and fenced in all around it. It has become an oasis for the neighborhood. Families there's commercial development on one side of the street, and on the other is a full neighborhood. And so people can walk with their kids and their animals and come and walk to our place and hang out all afternoon, knowing that they're in a safe environment that's walled off and nobody's going to get too loosey. too loose and running around, running away.
Yeah, I like that you've created a destination for your community. I think that resonates with our industry as well. So you seem to be out there a lot. I see a lot of interviews with you, different podcasts. When you're on the road, I'm going to take an educated guess that you stop at gas stations, convenience stores, and just for my curiosity, and maybe the folks who are listening, what do you look for when you go in a convenience store or a gas station? What do you grab for?
Well, I lean towards a clean place that's nice, that has a lot of amenities, and they're becoming more and more upscale, which is nice to see. So certainly if I'm in a rural town, I might look for something that's not new or not brand new and shiny. I may look for the local spot that might do their own sandwiches in there or something unique to the area. But when I'm in a bigger city, I'm looking for a nice, clean environment with a lot of amenities, so I can take care of everything while I'm there.
Yeah, I think our surveys indicate the same thing when we talk to customers. It's a nice, clean bathroom.
Yep.
Says a lot of things, including, if we care about the bathrooms, we certainly care about the food. And I think that's what a lot of people try to push as far as messaging and walking the walk. Want to throw out something that's somewhat, I think, a challenge for a lot of retailers. 60% of our industry is a one-store operator. And how do you get to 2 stores, and what do you have to do differently? So as you've expanded to not just 2 stores, 2 brands, how do you take time for your 2 favorites now? And are there any special tips that you would suggest as you expand that you've learned?
It's tough to manage more than just the one. I've got an excellent team, and so what I've tried to do is relinquish some of the day-to-day control to that team, and meet with my top level managers and let them manage their teams under them. And I'm in the office every day, so I'm here at Peg Leg every day, and I'm touching and seeing, and I can put input, and I can tell them what I think may need to improve or what I see going on. But you have to have confidence in your people that to be able to run that day to day. Because we have so many different businesses, I've got to concentrate on a lot of different areas other than just the restaurant. And so I've got to be confident in that restaurant team to do their job and to manage those locations. And I've got some great people that do that. I've just got to remind myself that hey, I need to lead from the top and lead by example, and then they'll know the right things to do as they move down the line.
So it's not necessarily being at both locations physically, but being there, supporting, without necessarily being there because you have the team. And I think logistics wise, it's got to be tough if you have to be at both places and you have to do FaceTime.
That is tough. I do try and go to both places. With the Oasis only open on the weekends, it's easier for me to bounce over there from Peg Leg. It's about 12 minutes away, so it's really not too tough to get to. But you can't be everywhere at once, and so you have to pick and choose what you think might be the critical times, or when you need to be available to go over there and keep your finger on the pulse. And you got to listen to not only your managers, but listen to your employees and understand it, and listen to your customers. Every review that we get comes across my phone. And so I do that for a reason. Some people say, don't do that, it'll drive you nuts. But I do it because I can't be there all the time. And I have to understand that although there's a lot of silly criticism out there and invalid criticism, there is a lot of valid criticism. And if you take it all in and you listen to everybody's perspective on what happened or what went wrong or what went right, then you get the full picture. And I like to see the big picture and understand that it's not just one-sided in the customer's favor or one-sided in your favor. There may be many factors that played into what happened with the customer experience. And we need to understand those factors so that we can make sure that we ensure a great customer experience every time somebody comes in.
Chris, that's a brave man. I can't imagine. I saw on Yelp you had something like 4,000 reviews, and highly positive. And then there's somebody, well, how come there's not this? And it's or beef, I think it was. And it's like the name has porker in it. I'm pretty sure that kind of gives you a good idea of what's there. So
and there's
a lot
no
of credit
for
all those reviews on all those different mediums, and probably biting your tongue a lot more than one ought to.
Yeah. Carey, I was flipping through your Twitter profile a little bit here, and I'm hungry for sure.
Yeah.
Everything looks fantastic, and I've watched Food Network every now and then. They have all kinds of shows where people are barbecue challenges and whatnot, and I'm not somebody who is going to light a fire in my backyard and throw a slab of meat on it. I don't have the environment for that.
Right.
But I'm always curious. I mean, I've listened to you say, how you how to do barbecue really well. For those novices like me out there, how can we really screw it up?
Well, there's plenty of ways to screw it up, and believe me, I've probably done them all. I tell my staff, you're probably not a pitmaster if you've never had a grease fire. So I've done it all and even burned down big rigs. So barbecue a lot of times is about trial and error. I actually just published the book, Barbecue for Dummies, that I did with Wiley Brothers. It's part of the For Dummies series that they have. It's a global brand. And it's a reference book that will, if I'd have had that book when I started cooking barbecue, it would have probably shaved 10 years off of my learning curve. So it'll help you avoid all the mistakes that I made along the way. Barbecue is not rocket science. It is about time and temperature and patience. And that's the biggest thing that people lack is the patience. And but that's also what makes barbecue great. The fact that barbecue is so community oriented and so friend oriented is because it takes so long that you have time to sit around and visit and talk to your family and your friends and understand what's going on in their life. And that's what really draws me to barbecue. And that's why we have a very strong barbecue community and family. I'm friends with the other barbecue owners here in Nashville. We're friends with barbecue owners all across the country that will call on and ask advice and say, hey, what are you doing here? How do you do that? Or what's, I'm fixing to try this. Have you done this? And that's very strong. And it's a very powerful when you're trying to be successful in business to have that network of resources to lean on. And I have found it to be great. And I've tried to pass that on to other people who are starting out that we can help along.
This is very sounds very similar to the convenience store industry. It's a very sharing industry where they get together, they learn, share, some secrets, not all.
Yeah. Well, there's room for everybody in this market. As long as you're making good barbecue, then we welcome you into the community. Yeah, everybody does it a little bit different.
It reminds me when we visited a really good barbecue place that was in a Valero gas station in Kansas City. And we were filming there. And we asked the person at the hotel, we said, can you tell us how far it is, whether we can walk or drive or how long it would take? And she kind of whispered, it's a gas station, don't you? And it's like, yes, that's why we're going.
We want to
go. Because it's even cooler that it's at a gas station. Nice. Final question for you. In business, we talk a lot about what's the secret sauce. What's the secret sauce that you have for success? And you literally have a secret sauce. I'm not going to ask you to divulge that. But business-wise, what is the secret sauce that you'd like to share? That if you do these things, you're probably going to succeed more than you'll fail.
Well, I think that you have to understand and know your product and your numbers and your audience. I mean, so I studied for a year, 2 years before I opened up Peg Leg Porker, and I knew all my numbers. I had spreadsheets. I had forecasts. I knew all my recipes. I knew what my costs were. I went and talked with other restaurant operators, with CPAs, with anybody who I might touch that was in that industry, with suppliers. And so I had a firm grasp on a lot of the aspects of my business. And you have to understand that a restaurant is just like a convenience store, just like anything else. It's a business. And so if you don't know how to run a business, or you don't have that business acumen, you have no business, owning a restaurant, because it's a very complicated business and a lot of moving parts. But it's still, at the end of the day, it's a business. The other thing I would say is hard work and grit. If you have the determination and the will, then you'll try and find a way around problems. I don't like for people to tell me I can't. I want people to come and tell me what they can do. And, when somebody tells me they can't, I said, I don't really think you're looking at it from all the different aspects or from all the different angles. There's always a way to get something accomplished. And I did that with opening Peg Leg Porker. Had very little money. The banks were saying no. I went out and I found somebody. I convinced them to believe in me, and they helped out. And then I bought them out, and I bought my building. And it was all things that most people told me I couldn't do. I got done because I had the grit and the determination and the will to do it. And there's always a way. You just got to find the right one. And I found the right one, and it's been very successful for me.
That's a perfect way to end this, but we also have a trivia question that we've done for these.
Right.
No wagering. So, yeah, we got the cheesy music and everything going.
All right.
Except for whoever wrote that probably didn't like hearing that it was cheesy. So, this is the week that baseball opens up again. So I have a baseball-related convenience store question.
Okay.
The freeze.
You're already scaring him.
Yes. Racetrack has the freeze, and it's hugely popular with Atlanta Braves fans. What does the freeze do? I'll give you 4 choices. He sprays ice shavings on fans during the 7th inning stretch, which is welcome relief on those hot days. He bangs a drum and shouts, "Let's go Braves" during the games to freeze batters. C, he has a in between innings race with a fan. Or D, he awards every fan in a section with a free freeze.
I would say he probably awards every fan in a section with a free freeze.
He probably does that too, but he runs a race with a fan in the 7th inning stretch, and he gives the fan something like a 40 or 50 yard head start. YouTube it and watch the freeze, and it's classic how he overtakes people.
He crushes them.
Perfect example of the can-do attitude that you talked about.
All right, I will go look up the freeze for sure.
Go look up the freeze, and also for everybody listening, look up Peg Leg Porker. It's incredible food, incredible atmosphere, and check out the new restaurant too, the Oasis. Buy the book, buy the experience, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
And thank you, everyone, for listening to Convenience Matters. If you want to listen to more, you can find us on your favorite podcast player, and we appreciate you listening to this episode. We had invited Matt Damon, but of course he was still busy, so we're going to keep trying.
Convenience Matters is brought to you by Nax and produced in partnership with Human Factor. For more information, visit convenience.org.